Nas did not diss Jim Jones, according to Raekwon. What is good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Mob. If you rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button. Also subscribe. So this past weekend, Raekwon the Chef dropped a really dope project with the Emperor's new clothes on Nas's Master Appeal. If you didn't already, check out the review that I dropped for that and run those likes up for me. That'd be greatly appreciated. But with that album, there was a lot of buzz surrounding the track The Omerta with Nas. It's one of the best songs there, and you have what is probably a 5 mic worthy verse from Nas. And that song has been talked about not only because of the great Nas performance, but also because there was an alternative verse floating around on the internet that had been leaked, in which people thought that Nas was directly dissing Jim Jones. Now, at the time, I didn't really want to weigh in on it in the form of a video because I didn't necessarily know the validity to the track. It seemed a little vague to me at the time, and although there were some clues that might lead you to believe that he was directly going at Jim. So Raekwon went on IG Live last night and talked about his album, and he also made it clear that the Nas alternative verse was not a Jim Jones diss. Ray basically stated that Nas had already recorded his verse 3 months or so prior to the whole Jim Jones beef, and at the last minute the album was due, he told Raekwon that he had a new verse that he wanted to put on the album because Nas didn't want the public to perceive it as a Jim Jones diss. And you know what? It's actually believable. It makes sense given Nas's crazy busy schedule with Mass Appeal and the album he's working on and just all his investments. Also, knowing how Nas moves as an individual, I could totally see him making the decision to scrap the song. I mean, that's not a bad thing at all. And that's also not to say that Nas is above getting at Jim Jones in the form of a diss track, but it's just that Nas seems these days a little more focused on making those higher level boss moves and just promoting unity in hip hop. Because if he really wanted to do some damage with a diss track, he probably would have released it on his own. So Ray's story is not that far-fetched, but you know, people are going to be skeptical of what Ray said. Okay, I get it to an extent. You might be tempted to say Raekwon was capping, but I just don't see, given Raekwon's close bond with Nas since like 1995, I just don't see it really happening. And Nas and Ray's friendship supersedes any relationship that even Ray and Jim Jones have. And yes, we know that Jim and Ray are close. Raekwon said it in the video. But then you'd have to ask, well, what does Raekwon get from lying in this situation? If anything, I think it would put a strain on his close ties with Nas. I mean, at this stage in Chef's career, it doesn't make much sense. But you can, of course, have your own thoughts on this clearly. This is just my take. I'm sure there will be some people who are of the mindset that Raekwon is somehow covering something up or trying to do damage control or trying to smooth over the situation for his friend Jim Jones. I mean, look, it's possible. I mean, I guess any rapper, even one of the greatest rappers, could lie. But I honestly think Ray was keeping it 100 here. I mean, it's very plausible that it went down the way Ray said it went down. No conspiracy. Or if it didn't happen exactly the way Ray said, we still know that the song was scrapped for a reason. So the question would be, whose idea was it to not include that verse? That might even be the bigger question. It could have been Ray's idea, but let's give Nas some credit here as the boss. I mean, it's probably ultimately Nas's decision. And look, I do understand how the timing of this alternative verse does look a little suspicious. And yes, there were some Nas lines on there that sounded as though they were aimed directly for Jim. But I'm also mindful of the reality that it could have been aimed at Young Noble, RIP. It's very possible that's another reason Nas didn't want this track out, because yeah, that just would have looked bad given Young Noble's passing. Like, I'm not just going to accept Ray's word as gospel, but I just don't feel he has a reason to lie. I mean, he has his legacy on the line here too, and I'm sure that self-awareness would be kicking in. Still, I think there are going to be people who are more entertained by the narrative that there was a diss track and they'll kind of disregard what Ray said. But let me know in the comment section what you think really happened. It's your boy Mixtape Mob. I'm signing out as always. Peace and blessings.